I think about, one thing about worker ownership, there's a magazine out right now in the newsstand, Yes Magazine, just saw it at the newsstand yesterday, I picked it up. It's about worker cooperatives and cooperatives in general. I'm surprised how little we've talked about cooperatives in the food movement. I mean, really, this is an interesting issue. You know, a lot of people are asking them to build businesses on their own, to put a lot of infrastructure in, and yet we can manage that risk differently in some other ways. We could, build more cooperative endeavors. And markets, I think, are a great place to talk about that kind of idea. Certainly, of course, I've been hearing a lot about places like Cleveland, Ohio's Evergreen Cooperative, which is really amazing. Athens, Ohio has a whole worker cooperative movement that actually kind of holds out their farmers market, and many other places as well. And at the Farmers Market Coalition, where I serve as an advisor, we are talking with the Worker Cooperative, U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives, to help us figure out technical assistance on one level, but another level, we just want to say, what are the democratic principles of your movement that we should be adopting in our movement to make sure that we don't leave anybody behind. So I think that that's another trend that we're going to start seeing in the movement as well. And I think it's really important that we don't forget that there are people and there are ideas that we still haven't tackled. And these are just the things on the top of my head at 3 in the morning that I think about. Why can't we do that? Fair trade. We ran a fair trade market in New Orleans for 5 years during the holidays, and it was a non-food market, and it was meant to symbolize the same thing that the farmers market did, to talk about fair trade, ideas and handmade and locally made, and it was successful to a point. But of course, it's still relatively nebulous. It can be complicated to explain fair trade to make sure people are following the chain back, because we haven't shortened that chain enough. It's still a little too long. And so there's some good compatible things. I think if you're thinking about how you might expand your farmers market production, you might think about fair trade rules. Might be something to think about. So knowing all that, saying all that, giving you all kinds of great big ideas, but I want you to think about that, because next 2 days you're going to be, diving deep into ideas around how to make some of these things happen. And I think that markets have a lot of people coming to them saying, here's a great idea, here's a great idea. And we try to do a lot of things. And I think we should do many, many things. But I think we have to remember what role we play and how we came here, what we're doing. We are the democratic town square of the food system at this point. We can invite a diverse group of people to come in and figure out their innovation. We can pilot new things because we have the time to do it. We can do what I will tell you, I think the core job of the farmers market is, to incentivize behavior change. We do that through civic engagement, through communication to community, through lots of ways. But when we do all those things, I really do. I think back to these founders. And I think back to why they created the farmers markets. And I think back to what they wanted. And so their criteria results in these ideas, farmers first. There are food systems I'm seeing where farmers are not being put very high up on the list of what makes sure that they're creating wealth. I told Ken something this morning, and Ken said to me, what do the farmers think of that? It's a good question. Always a good question to ask yourself. Are we growing more farmers? We have to make sure that we're growing more farmers, and we're growing many kinds of farmers. So farmers first. They have to be out there. We've got to protect them. A lot of them are living right on the edge, if not below the margin, to make our projects successful. Are they making enough money? Are they adding the things they need? Are they taking care of themselves? So many of our farmers are not, as you well know. Town square, I like to use the term no purchase necessary. That's how I think of the town square. You can come to the market and just hang out, talk, meet other people. We're not going to throw you out, unless you're painting blood. Right? You can do that. But we're saying, look, come, invite yourself, come and sit down, relax, enjoy yourself, talk. You may not buy something for months. Fine with us. We're not going to ask for your receipt to have you sit at a table. We're going to make sure that you feel welcome. And then we're incubating businesses. We are pretty brave about that. We've got to think about what that means to us. We've got to make sure our criteria is right for that. There's a great book about Hardwick, Vermont, the town that food saved, that actually, Ben Hewitt, an excellent book, talks about the food system that's being two local parts of the food system, those that are creating new entrepreneurial efforts and those that are saying, look, how we live is the success, and how those two sides of this little town of 3,000 are interacting. You know, high mowing seeds, of course, brilliant. And how these neighbors that are farmers are saying, it's not about entrepreneurial activity, it's about how we live. And it's interesting to watch that tension. So we've got to make sure we're thinking about that. We can't assume only one definition of local food. And then, of course, good health for all. You know, of course, with Corey's work and other people's work in the room, you know, we're expanding the uses of how we can use farmers markets. But those markets have to be there in 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 years. And you've got to figure out how you build all this in and do it so that everybody benefits. Again, those multiple audiences and those multiple impacts. You know, we are learning so much about how to expand this good food revolution, but we've got to make sure that our criteria and how we measure our success in the farmers markets keep us there, keep us in the center, keep us focused on the big picture, which is that everybody finally gets to eat and well and live in their own communities for a long time. So with that, I'm going to let you think about that and ask me lots of questions, and I know I'm going to get them, and I'm going to see you a lot in the next couple days. And I really look forward to talking with you all about how you do that. What are those things you're thinking about, those indicators, this way you're measuring yourself, how you're expanding your farmers markets, how they sit in your food system. Because that's really what we have to do. We have to make sure that we stay relevant and that we continue to be the hotbed of innovation that we've been for the last 30, 40 years. And we do that by making sure that we do that in a happy, successful way as well. So thank you.